Play It Again Sports specializes in baseball, softball, golf, and fitness. Stop in to buy, sell, or trade new and used sports and fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.
Welcome to this edition of In the Hoop. George Ayub with Bobby Mills. Good to see you, Bobby.
Good to see you.
It's Monday morning. We're at Grand Island Central Catholic High School. The Crusaders are at the Centennial Conference Tournament tonight against David City Aquinas.
Big week.
Big week for them. Aquinas had us a 4-point victory over them just about 10 days ago. So, Crusaders looking for some payback. We're going to talk a little bit about some local team scores, some peak performers, and just all things high school basketball. In the Hoop brought to you by Play It Again Sports. Stop up there if you need some sporting goods. We'll run through the city teams. The Islanders, once again, the boys, they lost out at North Platte. It's a good North Platte team.
Yes, it is.
They had them close. I think they were within 5, and North Platte went on a late 8-0 run. They lose it. Their work doesn't get any easier for them there at Lincoln Southwest this week.
Boy,
so
that's a toughie,
yeah, that's a toughie. 1-14 on the Islanders. The Grand Island Northwest boys, who we saw play this week against Hastings on Friday night, 2 victories. The Hastings victory, I thought, they played pretty good basketball. Hastings is a nice team.
They are. Very athletic.
Very athletic team. We were impressed with that. Then they go up to Schuyler, Bobby, and have to win in overtime. What happened there?
I don't know. Sometimes kids take timeouts, as they call it, and it's not the kind of timeout that we put our kids in the corner, but they just, maybe they relaxed a little bit, and I don't know. You wish you could prevent that, but you hope it doesn't happen again.
Now, you told me before we started taping here that Schuyler had a nice game the night before against Lakeview.
They did.
We've seen Lakeview, and that's a salty team.
It is, and Schuyler and Lakeview are kind of rivals, but they played them very well, I thought. The Friday night closed the gap at the end of the game when Lakeview did have their starters in, so I thought maybe they'd play a good game, but I wasn't expecting that.
I guess the lesson there is you can't take anybody for granted.
That's exactly
in
right.
High school.
Perfect.
Grand Island Central Catholic Crusaders here went over to Adams Central. That's a tough place to play, and that's a
is.
good team that they have this year. They lost 47-27, and as we mentioned, they're headed to David City tonight to play Aquinas.
Right.
Should be the teams are very evenly matched based on what the first game was.
They are, and you prepare for a team like Aquinas. Their quarterback, Troy Semrad, he's the guy that keys the whole thing. And then a lineman the size of Denton Cushing, Max Miriofsky, an all-state lineman, goes off for 6 threes Friday night and then leads them in scoring Saturday. What do you do?
Yeah, that's
so
a
now
tough
they're another
matchup.
Problem for Aquinas, who's very athletic, state football champions.
So Johanna Golfand, the big kid in the middle, will that be his guy, you think?
I would think.
And they'll pull that. Their strategy would probably be to pull him away from the basket.
Absolutely, yeah. And Max is a pretty good player. He's pretty good at, athletic. You need fine motor skills for basketball, but he evidently has them.
Yeah.
So it'll be a tough matchup.
Should be a good matchup. Then our friends down on Highway 34, the Hart and Lutheran Hornets, did not. They had their tournament, the Goldenrod tournament last week. Lost to a terrific Lindsay Holy Family team.
Boy, what a
56-47. I think they played them pretty tough.
They did.
They did.
Back up there Tuesday night, is it, or something
for
like
Lindsay
that?
Holy Family. They have Lindsay Holy Family. And then they'll play Elba North Loop Scotia. These are both rematch games, obviously the one with Lindsay Holy Family. And then earlier in the year, the Red Hornets, they handled Elba pretty well up there in the Elba tournament. That was the Christmas tournament. On the girls' side, the Grand Island Islanders lost a couple, one to North Platte, one to Columbus. They're 3-13, struggling, and their road does not get easy at all. They play 12-3 Lincoln Southwest on Saturday, highly ranked. That'll be a tough game for Kelly Jeffries' girls in purple and gold. The Grand Island Northwest girls threw a 92 spot up on Schuyler. This is after a 72 that we saw Friday night against Hastings and win both games. Obviously, they're third ranked, third in power points. Mackenzie Brown, another school record with 35.
Right.
Yeah, they can really put the ball in the basket.
They can. I don't know how you defense them. I really don't. And this team, no matter who they play, if it's a top-ranked team or whether it's a team that's in the bottom of the wild card ratings, they never let up. They never let up.
Yeah, and they are tenacious. And what we saw Friday night, I think, against a Hastings team that they got out 26-0.
Yes.
They weren't pouring it on. They were running that trap because they want to be good in that zone trap press. And and then Coach Hersberg started substituting girls in and out, and And Hastings, I thought, came back and played them pretty tough there.
Good second half.
Yeah, they did. But the Northwest girls, like we talked about on the broadcast Friday night, they have they have girls that can handle the ball in almost every position. Kennedy Keyser can come out. She's not going to bring the ball up, but they are interchangeable parts in so many ways that you're right. They're a tough matchup.
A nightmare for an opposing coach.
They're ranked third in the power points, third in Stu's poll. The boys, Northwest boys, I should have mentioned, third in the points, or third in the power poll, fourth in the points. It's interesting. Beatrice has the #1 power point total, and they own a victory over Northwest.
It's crazy.
And then Seward is second, but it's all mixed up.
It is mixed up. Northwest did beat Beatrice, but yet
Right.
Beatrice is...
yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Beatrice, Northwest beat Beatrice. Seward beat Northwest, and so Beatrice, Seward, Northwest. I don't get it, but it all works out at the end. I think is what
Conference
we're talking
tournaments especially.
Yeah, Grand Island Central Catholic 6-10. They lost to Adams Central 54-44 over in Hastings. They're in the conference tournament, and I'm not sure who they drew.
The girls, they're at Wahoo
They're
Newman.
at Wahoo
And
Newman.
Newman's always had a good ball club, so it'll be a tough road game.
That'll be a tough road game. And that also starts, their tournament starts tonight as well.
Exactly.
So the Central Catholic kids on the road, one headed to David City, one to Wahoo.
Right.
So, okay, and then finally rounding out, Heartland Lutheran girls are 2-13, and they had they had played their tournament. They didn't really have a game last week, but they have a tough schedule this week. Lindsay Holy Family at 16-1.
Oh, Lord.
And then Alba Northloop Scotia at 8-5. So it's going to be tough for the girls there. Terry Fredrickson's going to have to get them ready to match up with two tough teams.
And they've had a little bit of a layoff too, so I'm sure he's concerned about that. But Lindsay Holy Family's girls are salty.
Yeah.
Very good ball club.
Yeah, 16-1. So
Right.
that kind of brings you up to date on scores from local teams. We'll be back after the break to talk about peak performances.
Play It Again Sports is more than a used equipment store. We offer new equipment in all the top brands. Easton in baseball and softball, TaylorMade in golf, Schwinn in fitness, and we're the only Cliff Keen wrestling dealer in town. Stop into Garrett for spring and summer activities. Trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.
We are back with In the Hoop. I'm George Ayub with Bobby Mills. We're at Grand Island Central Catholic High School. Our buddy Denton Cushing's behind the camera there, making faces and
Yes.
directing and producing and everything. So we have three peak performers. First is Kelsey Shield from right here at Central Catholic High School. Had 26 points against Centura this week, including 13 for 17 from the line.
Wow.
In a victory over Centura. So 26 points. She really led the Crusaders. In fact, the team shot well from the line altogether. So
Makes a difference.
congratulations to Kelsey. That was terrific. Our second peak performer this week is Riley Reinertson from Gibbon down the road. The 10-2 Buffaloes they have a really nice team this year, and Riley's their leader.
He is, and he's not the only weapon they have, but he sure is. He's a spitting image of his dad, Paul Rapid Fire Reinertson, and Paul's the coach, but he just looks his mannerisms, movements on the court. His brother's not so much as Paul, but Riley is the recreation of Paul Rapid Fire Reinertson.
Well, and he's had a terrific year, and he's had numerous double-doubles. We're going to give him the peak performance, 27 points, 11 boards against Amherst in a blowout victory for the Buffaloes. So Riley Reinertson, congratulations, and he's one of those kids you could probably give a peak performance certificate to every week.
You could. I'm looking forward to watching him in that Lou Platte tournament next week.
Very consistent. The Lou Platte's it's always a great tournament.
Yep.
Always a great tournament. Our third peak performance is going to be a team peak performance to Burwell. The Burwell boys won their 5th straight Goldenrod Conference championship. That is amazing.
Garrett Mann what
because
a great job.
when you get to 5, you've recycled one entire group. So the freshman that started is gone.
Yep.
That's 5 years. That's a terrific job for Burwell. So we're going to give them a peak performance. Each of the peak performers will get a certificate from the Grand Island Independent, and we'll get that to the team and to the kids. So we're going to talk just briefly here, Bobby. Some other area teams. I mentioned Gibbon has a good season going. Giltner down south, 12-2. They're playing good basketball.
They are, and one of my yearly stops this week will be at the Crossroads Conference over at the venerable York City Auditorium, and Giltner is in that Crossroads Conference tournament over there, and they should be get some good semifinal matchups. One could be Bruning Davenport Shickley, which would be a great one, And then, of course, it's just always competitive over there. So
Right.
it's a great venue.
That'll be
Oh,
a
wonderful
great venue.
venue.
You know, at our age, that's when you start using venerable instead of just plain
Venerable.
old. Right?
Someday
Yeah.
we'll be vet.
Yeah.
No, forget that.
You know, Sutton and Ravenna both, they're ranked 5 and 6 in power points in Class C2. You know, their records, I think Ravenna's 9 and 5 and Sutton's maybe 10 and 4. I didn't write that down. But, you know, they've had some losses. I guess what I'm saying, terrific basketball teams, though.
Oh, Spungberg and you know, Paul. You can't get much in Polly Veronica. You can't get much better than those two guys. And they might lose some, but boy, they're going to be tough. You don't want to draw them at district.
Yeah,
time.
right. And both, you know the importance of playing well at the end of the year.
And this Sutton plays GICC in that Heartland Hoops Classic,
so
so that's going to be a tough
that'll
draw.
be good. And then, and of course, we mentioned Adams Central down the road.
Boy.
You know, they're still playing good basketball too. So
Zach Foster's done a terrific job down there.
some area teams doing.
That's
on
in Central Catholic's district, George.
Right, yeah.
Look out.
That's on the boys' side. Of course, on the girls' side, it's really difficult to, you know, Grand Island Northwest girls are just, you know, they're going to be there at the end. I just have the sense that
it's conference tournament week, George.
Yeah,
so exciting.
Yeah, this is very exciting stuff. So we'll have all the results of those tournaments next Monday and in another edition of In the Hoop. Brought to you by Play It Again Sports. So, Bobby Mills, thanks. Good to see you again. I'm George A. We'll see you next time.
Play It Again Sports specializes in baseball, softball, golf, and fitness. Stop in to buy, sell, or trade new and used sports and fitness equipment. Trade in and trade up at Play It Again Sports.